Welcome back, everyone. So firstly, I wanted to apologize. We wanted to apologize for the late post because I was a little sick. I don't know if after a long fucking weekend or just, my body was just like, but I couldn't get out of bed yesterday. So I was feeling really sicky, but I'm good today. I just needed to sleep. And so just so you know that we always strive to release our show on schedule, and we do not take it lightly when we have to delay, but we'd rather make sure that we give you a quality show versus a show that's either rushed or we're sick or, you know what I mean? And, definitely with Cameron's schedule and stuff. So we just have to make sure. I just wanted you to know that whenever we delay, it is not because we don't love you, and we take it very seriously, and we're here. So let's get started.
I'm back.
Cameron is back. Cameron was in Asia. He was in Korea and in Japan. How was it?
It was a bit of a, not like culture shock, but like I'd never been to, aside from going to Thailand, I hadn't been to.
And only going for like circuit and dick. This is your first time going for work.
Well, yeah. And, so it was just like, being in Latin American countries, like I'm more familiar with that language, of course, so we could pick up on things.
Probably same size people though, yeah? You can still tower over everyone like Godzilla.
Yeah, it was just not knowing the language. It just felt very like,
and yeah, especially a language like not a romance language, so no, a language that you can't pick up anything. You know what I mean? Like it's not anything close to English, so you can't even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we did talk about how I was saying I read in South Korea that everyone gets plastic surgery, and you were saying you were
that where I went for work, the bottom place is the.
Stop talking about Jason Godfrey like that. He's also on here, everyone. Ooh, but anyway,
hello.
the bottom of the building. Ooh.
But yeah, it's the top floors above are all plastic surgery, and people come down and shop with their bandages and their just when they're done.
And employees have bandages.
Yeah,
I was reading like it's like a standard for everyone to get plastic surgery. That even like when they go to work, you have to like when you apply for jobs, their CV will look like a photo shoot cover, and like the employees will comment on their facial features or on their features as part of a job. Thing. I was like, that's crazy.
Like the Korean beauty stuff. Yes, there it's I think it's called Oliver Tree. I think. Don't quote me on that, but it's like their version of Sephora, and all. Oh my god, it was a story.
They probably don't have the Fenty color spread of blushes or foundations. Ooh.
They had everything under the sun.
Yeah, they had your color scale foundation and mine.
I was.
You probably didn't go that far in the back. They probably have that in like the very back. Like, girl, we have to move some boxes. Hold on, boo. Okay, well, welcome back, Cameron, and welcome, Jason Godfrey.
Thank you.
All right, so. We are back with you another episode of your favorite podcast. Tonight we are dropping our first half interview with Craig Morrison, one of the up-and-coming party promoters. Jason actually works with him at some of his parties, so he knows who that is. The interview was really good, and I spent a lot of time talking about how he started being a party promoter at SF and what it's like to throw parties and, some of the issues that he has. And I'm sorry, so for anyone, and a lot of my friends are like interested in throwing their own parties or getting into the party scene, either the DJ, blah, blah, blah. This interview is really good at kind of like talking about that. So stay tuned after the news recap to check it out. Next week, we are going to be dropping another very cool interview with you. This one is with porn stars Alfonso and Joaquin. This is our first foray into interviewing OnlyFans stars. And so I told you this was something we were going to be moving into, and I'm really excited. And they're really excited to like share their lives and their stories and stuff like that. So it should be a really interesting interview.
That'll be cool.
It's beautiful, man. You know what I mean? Not that they have to be beautiful, but I mean, there's a plus. They get to look at me too. Shit. Anyway, also some other business. We are going to be taking the week of, which week is it?
The 12th.
The 12th off, because, just vacation and we need a little break. And that we'll be back on the week of the 19th. So that's just some stuff we'll just keep talking about until then. Thanks again for listening in and tuning. Thanks again for tuning in and listening. Jesus. Listen, like, share, and laugh. My IG is WHENNRONE on IG. Let's get our mood enhancers, please. On the count of, I should have asked you to learn how to say it in Korean. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. I know you wouldn't have, but whatever. And it probably would have been racist if you tried. 1, 2, 3. Enhance yourself, please. Let's get into it. happening since we last saw each other. Okay, so Dory happened. Did you guys enjoy Dory?
Dory was a lot of fun for me. Yeah, I had a good time. I played Powerhouse on Saturday and Halcyon for Heaven on Sunday.
Did you play with any booty, dick, emotions, lips?
Lips.
You know what I mean? Yeah, any of that? You know what I mean? Any connections? You know what I mean?
I had some.
I know you did. I can see the twinkle in your eye. Cameron.
I got back from Asia on Saturday afternoon and then I had 4 hours to get ready for Gaga. And it was amazing. Oh, that show was fantastic.
I mean, I feel like you're such a Gaga fan that like you wouldn't be able to tell the truth if it was not that good. So I don't really trust you're biased with a capital B. Okay. But I'm glad that you like Gaga. Was it full? Was it a stadium full? Because I was always just thinking like we were kind of Gaga'd out, right? A lot of us saw her at Coachella, or a lot of us chased Brazilian dick and saw her in Brazil.
Yeah, it was still full.
Still full.
Yeah. That
This
was
fucking Gaga.
her third show here because she did Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
Oh shit. So yeah, I mean it's fucking Gaga, yeah.
Yeah.
Gaga. Okay, so let's see. Oh my God, I had a homophobic experience that I have to tell you guys about. So we were leaving our building, me and a friend, we were going to a party, can't remember which one. And I was the gayest dressed. Hello, I won the award. And only the reason I say this because the homeless guy probably saw me first. But anyway, this homeless guy across the street like threw a bottle at us and was like, "You fucking faggots," or "You gays." He actually didn't say faggots. That's how you know he wasn't real because he just said "you gays" or something, right? But it was crazy because I had to stop one of my friends from going over to whip his ass. Had to stop another friend from fucking throwing a bottle at him. But I was just like, hey, when it comes to like homeless people, and yes, I'm saying homeless because he lost the privilege to be called in house. Okay, thank you. I'm fucking homeless. I just feel like homeless people like fighting like animals or fighting like children. It's just no point. Do you know what I mean? Like unless you are being physically attacked, like you're not gonna get anything out of fighting someone who's most likely not even fully there, not fully with it. It's just.
I just try to ignore them.
Yeah,
as much as I can.
And like the thing is, I can't even remember the last time I got a homophobic attack from a homeless person. Like, you know, I have more stories of homeless people telling me I look great and, you know what I mean, and standing up for me because of an Uber driver leaving, or, you know what I mean, I'll leave Club 6 and people tell you, look, I've had homeless people come and be like, I love your outfit, I want to give you something, let me go back to the camp. You know what I mean? I've had that happen more than a homeless person be homophobic in San Francisco. So it's kind of like, I just felt this guy was
It's very rare, I feel like, that I've encountered like aggressive like unhoused people. Like I mean, I know definitely there are.
Yeah,
I mean,
aggressive in general is rare, and homophobia is even rarer.
Yeah,
like normally if they are even dropping a homophobic thing, they're so out of it, they're talking shit about everybody that walks by.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They're also dropping racist things.
Yeah,
they're
dropping N-word.
Yeah, it's not even like. But yeah, so I just feel like I could see this guy just choosing to try to fuck with our time. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, no, you're not gonna ruin our night. You know what I mean? We're not gonna.
Because you need to allow that to happen.
Yeah, girl. Like
you're not gonna fuck my shit up.
That's when I'm okay with being a little bit like superior. Like you're homeless, honey. You know what I mean? Like you should maybe attack this fentanyl like you attacking us. You know what I mean? And maybe you'll live longer. Anyway, I can say that I just got attacked. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Oh, I have one last really funny story. So I was getting into an elevator. And there was like 3 other people, and why did I drop a bag on my foot in the elevator? And I was like,
you gotta pick it up.
Yeah, and I picked it up really quick. And I did not look back. I was like, I'm not gonna look back. I don't know if anybody saw. I heard a little bit of a chuckle. I said, I don't know what that's about. And the person who chuckled was also who was on my floor. So he was like walking behind me. So I was like, nope, I'm not gonna look back. Cause he's gonna be looking at me like, motherfucker, I saw that. And that was how my story ended. We'll go to party review. Actually, that was all my stories. Let's go to party reviews. And we're back with party reviews. Okay, like I feel like Dory was a little bit of a roller coaster. I don't know if you guys feel the same. I would just say that like on a scale from 1 to 10, parties were either like a 7 or maybe I think one party got it to like an 8 maybe. But like most of the parties were at a 6, 5 or 6 range, 6 or 7-ish range, and there was like maybe like a 4 or 5 in there. So everything was from like mid to you know, okay, cool, but nothing was like amazing. But we'll see. I'll go through them. I went to Alpha on Friday nights. This was a party with the Hibernia Bank. It was really good. I liked the venue. I really liked the venue, but there was something about it, some things about the party that could have been better. The lighting wasn't that good, so there are places where I'm like, girl, this is California. This is most like what is it? When you're getting sued a lot, not what is it? Licentious, one of the most licentious states in the country, and you got all these places where people can't really see and walk. Girl.
Litigious.
Yeah, there you go. So it's like, I was just like, there was some lighting. Also at one point the lights went out for like 20 minutes or so. Like
20
like
whole- 20
all of like electricity went out for 20 fucking minutes.
That's
And the thing, it was fine in the sense of like, but they never made an announcement. So it's just like after that long, people start leaving and they'll tell us that you're working on it. Because if people spend a lot of money, they're gonna stay if they say, hey, we're making progress, we're like things are coming on, and eventually the lights all came on.
So like the music was still going, but the lights.
No.
were-
The electricity went out in the whole
the
club.
whole club.
But like we knew that it wasn't everything, because like the
emergency
lights. Well, the lights were like the building lights were working, but not. I think it was more like a connection issue.
what
Yeah,
they
like
brought
the
in.
speakers went out, all of their lights went out, but the lights for the building were on. So we know that the lights for the building were on, right?
So someone like tripped over a cord.
It took 20 minutes. So I think it was definitely a connection issue.
Yeah.
But it was just like after 20 minutes, they didn't make any statement. So we're just waiting there. And I know people left, but a lot of people stayed. And it was cool once it came back on. And you get that feeling like, whoa. But like this happened in DC World Pride and they made an announcement, which is why people stayed a lot. You know what I mean? I think more would have stayed if they made an announcement.
I don't see why you wouldn't.
Say something.
Say something.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
got
real
20
vibe.
minutes of dead silence. Have somebody walking through. We're working on it. Something. You know what I mean?
It's such a vibe killer.
Right. I mean, it was funny because I just went to the sex room. I was like, oh, that was fun. It was full. So I did Big Muscle. Big Muscle doesn't disappoint. Big Muscle was amazing. Love Big Muscle. Saturday during the day at DNA Lounge. Mwah, 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 mwah. That was my 8. Sneaks was my 4. So I don't know. People were like, I spent every single day asking about Sneaks, trying to get a ticket because it was really fun last year. And I thought it was going to be fun this year. It was not as fun. The music was not as good. It was like house techno, which, you know, I'm not huge fans of house and techno, but I am huge fans of good techno and good house techno, whatever, right? Like danceable house techno, which there is. Mule has it. Deviants has had it. You know what I mean? That's not what they gave. You know what I mean? The dance floors were in different places, so it was kind of hard to find. Let's see, like they didn't put the speakers in the right place, so then like you really need to have a sound engineer.
Wait, was it at the Mint?
At the Mint.
Yeah.
And you really need to have a sound engineer if you're going to be a place like the Mint, because there's an echo that can really hit, that can really fuck up where, you know, your view of where you're standing.
Yeah.
And so you just need to have somebody who understands that, because they didn't have that issue the first time. And I just feel like they just didn't have a sound engineer or something like that. You know what I mean? And then I will just say, because it was like one of my friends, it wasn't me, guys, one of my friends, if a person posts about your party and they tag you, they have the right to do that. Someone's paying $130 for a ticket, they have the right to say whatever the fuck they want about how their experience. And if they tag you, you shouldn't be taking that as a party owner or promoter as a slight. You should be thinking like, damn, how like much did they feel that they felt the need to tag? You know what I mean? Because people don't generally just tag parties unless they really feel strongly. So I have, you know, friends who tagged about Sneaks because they didn't like the music and and you know, you have Sneaks, the people at Sneaks responding to them saying like, you don't understand, and this is, you know, you just don't like the music because it's not circuit or it's not this, and people like techno, and it's like, and going back and getting really defensive, and it's like, girl, that I don't know what you expected to happen, but like for me, the fact that you responded in defensive mode tells me you knew there was something going on with the party. You're feeling insecure,
right?
And that's not the customer's problem. Like a customer has a right to say whatever the fuck they want, especially when you pay $130.
Well, I mean, when I saw kind of all of that, to me it says you have too many people have access to your PR.
Yeah.
Because obviously someone is responding,
right,
and that's probably not the person that you should have running the PR for your organization,
right?
If they're gonna respond in that way, like they could have been so much more high level, like, hey, sorry you didn't like it, we'll refund you, or just, hey, this was whatever. But to be like on the defense and like
kind of coming at them, trying to
yeah, it was just kind
them.
of like,
yeah, we had a friend complain, and like the people from Sleep came back, and they were like trying to make it that like it was a preference thing. Like he didn't like the party because he doesn't like that type of music, and he was saying no, the music wasn't danceable, the music wasn't whatever, and a lot of other people are saying that, and I feel like I didn't get my money's worth, and that's fine for him to say that.
Yeah,
and it's just like, yeah, this defensive coming back
and responding,
especially at 3 a.m. Anybody who's responding to something like that at 3 a.m. should not have access to the PR, because there's no response you can give at 3 a.m. that's going to be right, because you're probably not in your right mind. You know what I mean? Like, you don't respond to 3 a.m. You wait.
Don't respond in that moment.
Yeah, you wait, and then you respond with a standard, something later.
Because like at the end of the day, you already sold the tickets,
right?
So like, it's not like this is some whatever.
But like I said, the only reason I think they responded is because they already felt insecure. Because if that party had been fucking amazing and every single person was saying it was great, then why would they even care if one person did it unless they were already feeling somewhat insecure? You know what I mean?
You're putting on a public event. People are allowed to make public comments about it.
Yeah, opinion.
Yeah.
So that's also the other thing of like, you also don't even need to respond to it.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, for me, I would stop and think that regardless of what they're saying, if someone has is tagging you, that means that they've really felt it. Because people don't just generally tag the party, especially when you live in the city and you kind of know the people who may be around it or blah, blah, blah. So instead of responding with just straight defensiveness, I would just take the account like, what's going on that person even felt so strongly to tag me? Because they generally, like when I've done it or when people have done it, it's not every time it's when I really feel like I didn't get something. And so that is not something you want people to feel. So irrespective of whether you believe them, you should be trying to understand why, if you have customers who feel like that, that's not what you want.
Yeah, and if you want people to come back, you want their feedback to feel received.
Yeah, and if these people are not picking the right party, then you need to make sure that on your flyer you're describing what your party is, so the right people are coming, so people don't come feeling like they got gypped or whatever. Sorry, that might be a wrong word. Anyway, okay, so we'll go to Nocturnal. And like I said, I agree with that person. The music wasn't that good. You know what I mean? The lights weren't, could be issues. There were sound issues, and where the stage was off. And for people who I like techno, I don't like techno, but I can dance to good techno, or I can dance to danceable techno, and that's not what there was. And a lot of people were saying it. You know what I mean? So this is a prevalent position.
Well, my Saturday, I went to Lick It at Powerhouse.
How was that?
It was great. Jason was spitting there, and it was great music. I'm not just saying that because he's here, but it was really good music. And
well, thank you.
You're welcome. But the fan was broken, so I told Lance that he can. I have one in storage that the old drum fan from the.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll buy it from you.
Bitch, we need to start renting that out to all these parties, because none of these motherfuckers have a fan. You know how much money we can get with a fan business? Yes. Powerhouse, fucking Mule, bitch. We can rent these motherfuckers. Hey, we should think about that, baby, because these motherfuckers.
Rent the center.
We just go there and pray, hey, we got a fan you need, and I know you need it because I was just in there. All right. So.
It's got wheels.
And Lick It was cute. Lick It was cute.
It was cute. Yeah.
It was very.
It was
very
the as I've said before, on my valuation of Powerhouse, when it's the right amount of people in there that
the right vibe, the right music.
It's not
can pop
too
off.
Crowded.
Mm-hmm. It's the right amount of sexy people.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and I was like, it's Dory weekend. Like, I'm going off, girl. Like,
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I should have done that. Shit, save myself $300. Anyway, Nocturnal and Halcyon was about 40% full. The music was mad. And it looks like a lot of people just kind of going through it. Like, to the point it just wasn't as cute. Like, over it. So that was Nocturnal. Oasis after the festival, hella packed. Very good vibe. It was like not as many people, so I didn't have to worry about the bathroom issues and all that, which I have a problem with Oasis there. Heaven at Halcyon on Sunday. Pretty good music. Music's off the chain. Also 40% full. Feel like they're like losing their clientele because they don't know how to advertise.
Well, see, I played the earlier, so I played from like 5 to 8.
How was it?
And it was hot. I had a great time. Yeah, it was filling in. The fair was over, so people were kind of like figuring out what they were doing next and kind of meandering in. But yeah, it was just like it was a great party for me, from my perspective.
I mean, I think, like I said, the party was good, the music was good, but I just think the problem is that like from what Nocturnal used to be years ago, it's like the audience is slowly disappearing because they don't do a good job of promoting. And so unless you're people who know Nocturnal, like no new people are coming to Nocturnal, which is why it was only 40% and only stayed 40%. You know what I mean? Versus when I've been Nocturnal, it used to be packed. But it's just like that Kai in general just needs to learn how to like advertise more, get better hosts and all that, because nobody knows about Nocturnal, nobody knows about Heaven. You know what I mean? And that's the problem.
Yeah.
But when the music's good, you want people to be there.
Right. Yeah.
And everyone's going
to your point about techno and house, and like people want to just dance to dancey shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So you need like dope DJs.
House, like, it has to be danceable techno. It has to be danceable house. Like if you're throwing a party on a Dory weekend, that's what people want to do. They want to dance. This is not an experience. This is not a techno party, like that kind of thing. It is a dancing party with techno. You know what I mean?
People are coming in from other places.
Yeah.
From here, it's like if you have a local party and you're building a fan base and.
That's called Mule.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And even Mule has danceable techno. You know what I mean? Yes. But like I can understand you going for a one vibe. That's not what a sneaks party is, where almost everyone who bought a ticket is from out of town. You know what I mean? Because most of the people from town didn't even have a ticket.
Right.
All right, so then the last thing I want to talk about is Romp at 10:15. This is really good. It did not get packed until about like 9 p.m., but when 9 p.m. hit, It was hot. A lot of the boys there were cute. The music was really good. Consider it like the world's best gym, because they had just like, it was like this endorphin inducing house music where you just felt like you were at like the only cycle class. You know what I mean? It was good. It was fun. And that is all my party reviews. Do you guys have anything else?
Yeah. Not for me.
And let's go on to, upcoming events. Sorry. So I've got Yikes at Stud on 8/1. Friday 8/1, there's a new party with Adam Kraft and Demon Twink DJing. Both DJs are very popular, and I just saw Demon Twink kill it at Safada. So definitely looking forward to hearing him there. We have Boom Boom on 8/2. That's on Saturday night, the only Brazilian party at Bo. You know what that's about. See you there. Crazy Sexy Queer on 8/9 at Mother. It's a Saturday. It's an R&B, hip hop house and Afrobeats party. Sexy vibe. I'll be there. Ooh. Us at Bo on 8/9. That's a Saturday. Us is a hip hop party at Bo. If you haven't been to it, it's really fun. Just check it out. It's always fun to have good hip hop at Bo. After Dark on 8/16 at a secret location. So Electrolux is throwing a new dark party at a secret location. Says it has 1,000 capacity and it's almost full. It's on 8/16. It's got a cuddle room, dark room, dancing to 5 a.m. So that might be fun. And then the last thing I got is Side Hustle Sunday on 9/15 at Audio. It's a new house party coming to the scene with DJs Empress, Sammy Taylor, and CJ. Looks like a great lineup, so I might be there.
Yeah.
And that's all I got. Let's take a break. And we're back with world news. So our first news article is Emmanuel Macron, Brigitte Macron sue right-wing podcaster. So Emmanuel Macron is the president of France, and Brigitte Macron is his wife. So here's the article overview. The article basically is about how Brigitte Macron is suing Candace Owens, who is the black right-wing podcaster in America, for broadcasting what she calls malicious rumors, saying that she is a man. She alleges that Candace Owens picked up these rumors knowing they were false, and even after 3 letters demanding a retraction, Candace Owens not only didn't respond, but she doubled down on the accusations because she kept speaking about them and even dropped like this 8-part series about it. They are suing her broadcast company, and I guess the company that produces her show in the state of Delaware. Candace Owens has not only not backed down, she's doubled down, and if anything is trying to use this to build her brand by saying her First Amendment rights are being taken over. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's not your First Amendment right to defame somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't just say whatever you want.
Right.
There are limits to the First Amendment.
And it's like, and I like, the reason I picked this article is like, I chose it because one, first of all, fuck Candace Owens, fuck her, royally. And like, one, it's just fucking disgusting that she's using transphobia as a way to get popularity, and is positing it in such a bad thing that Brigitte Macron feels the need to like fight her on it, which just leaves like yucky feeling in my mouth when in the way that this entire situation handles trans issues and how it's portrayed throughout this fight, and the fact that Brigitte Macron even feels the need to fight it, right? I also want to talk about how glad I am that they are suing on one hand, though, because I think it'll be interesting to see where the law stands on this, right? And not like allowing Candace Owens to be deliberately false in what she says. You guys remember that like Fox News, lawsuit where they
Dominion.
Dominion sued them, you know what I mean, and won. So I just feel like these kind of things need to happen because I just feel like they just really just say whatever they want to hide behind the First Amendment, but then they'll be the first ones to try to take it away from you when they become into power. You know what I mean? Like fuck.
They're grifters.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because Trump is going to be the first one to try to take away First Amendment rights when we say, you have a small dick with Trump. You know what I mean?
South Park been going off on it.
I mean, I just can't believe that this woman went through the time and effort to put an 8-part series together
about someone being a man with what is it like eight? What is one part? She. Right. The second part is. The third part a. You know what I mean? Like, what could you have been talking about for 30 minutes on each part?
Right.
Except for how bad her hair is. Candace Owens.
Jesus.
My God. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and whenever I see these people, I'm always like, girl, if you spend half your energy on your look that you used to trying to positive hate, you would look better. That's probably why Candace Owens is mad, because her hair kitchen is nappy.
And the wild thing about Candace Owens is she's actually intelligent. Like, if she used her powers for good, it would be crazy. Like, but some of these people, they just see an advantage that they have in being able to manipulate people. And, especially like trans people and issues that are triggering, people are really sensitive about that. So she's just using it to elevate herself, and it's, in my opinion, and
it's also it's also a way to keep the trans issue, which I think they like to use as a way, because they think it worked kind of well as a wedge issue. So keeping it up there, keeping it in the forefront, it's just disgusting, especially because like, but what I will say is, like, I think they have a good case. I know they're also suing her in France as well. I really hope they win, because I do think we need to, like, it's interesting to see where the law, especially the right-wing law that we have, falls on these issues, because, like, with the Fox defamation lawsuit, it does curb their ability, and somewhat, when they lose these things, to just blatantly say things. Because also, fuck you, bitch, Candace Owens. Like, if she transitions, she's no longer a man. You know what I mean? The only thing you mad at is you got man shoulders, and you're a woman too, bitch. Let's move on to American news. And we are back with American news. Okay, charges dropped against more than 120 defendants in Massachusetts because they can't get an attorney. So, article summary, articles about how more than 120 cases have been dropped in Falls River because the defendants did not have a public defender, which they are entitled to under law, obviously, right? The judge had to dismiss the cases under the LaVale Protocol, which states that after 30 days without a lawyer, then a case must be dismissed, and after 7 days, the defendant must be released from jail. The defendants don't have public defenders because the public defenders in the area have gone on strike to protest pay conditions, that they want their salaries increased from like $65 to $75, and even from like $95 to $105 an hour based on the court and the caseloads of the attorneys. Apparently, this pay issue is a problem in a lot of places, with attorneys having either gone on strike or threatened to because of low pay. A lot of states are grappling with these issues, including New York. I thought this was really interesting because I mean, obviously I know government employees don't make a lot of money as a thing, and like as much as their private counterparts, but it was interesting that they were making such less money to the point that they felt that they needed to strike. The fact that they are striking, the fact that they're striking to the point that they're like, fuck you, let these cases go. You know what I mean? Yeah. Speaks, and that's happened before, you know what I mean, in other places. I just didn't know about this kind of like part of playing a public defender, which I think is crazy, because they're like on what I think the front lines of democracy, you know what I mean, representing people who can't represent themselves.
Everybody deserves representation.
And good representation, which is like people who are paid well, because if you're not being paid well, your caseloads are horrible and blah, 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 you're not getting represented well. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then you're just getting railroaded and routed, and these people are obviously always going to try to take the easy route out because they have too much work.
Yeah, and they get overwhelmed, and then they're not performing for their clients, and it's a downward spiral.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it also goes to say, like, all of these like cases that go to trial that don't need to be. So it's like you have all these things, you're inundating people with, like, they don't have the time to do it. You're overworking these people, and it's like, do we really actually need to be prosecuting people for these
cases? Yeah, it's true. It's like, especially when we were talking, I think a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about France and how they have these only certain cases even go to jail. You know what I mean? A lot of cases you're just released automatically, and then you know what I mean, and you're
go to trial.
Because you know what I mean. So like, it's interesting. Like, a lot of these misdemeanor cases, you're probably like, do these people need to go to jail? Do they even, you know what I mean? Like, and that's true. Like, these are probably cases. It's like, what is these? Yeah,
nonviolent crime stuff. Like, I mean, but to me, it speaks to a larger problem with wages in general, because the federal minimum wage is still at $7.25.
Right.
Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. Right. I mean, like, in the article, it's talking about, like, it's an empty courtroom and they have to drop the case because there's no attorney.
Right.
And then it's like most of these are minor crimes, like shoplifting, motor vehicle violations.
Some of them are bigger crimes, like, but you're right. Do those crimes even need a lawyer anyway?
Like, it's like, but are these things?
Sorry, not need a lawyer. Do they even need to be prosecuted?
Exactly. Yes. Right. It's like,
speak to that.
Yeah.
I also think, but I guess it honestly doesn't really surprise me, because I mean, it just speaks to how this country treats its poorest. You know what I mean? Look at the big beautiful bill that we just passed. I mean, look at, you know what I mean, we're the richest nation in the world, and we have homeless all over the place. You know what I mean? That, like, and so it does speak to, I think, how disdainful America has been. It can be to the poor.
You know, and there was this Manhattan shooting that happened 2 days ago, and kind of something that didn't really get talked about is like the Blackstone company. There was their CEO who got taken out by this person, and so people are pretty upset, you know. And it seems like it's a pretty resolvable issue if you just pay people. Like, if we had universal basic income and people just had money where they could, you know, buy things that they need and
stop we could do that if we stop giving money to rich people. You know what I mean?
But the billionaires are running shit, so they're like, no,
and
we want you to suffer.
We keep putting that Trump in there,
and it's
And with that, let's go to break. And we're back with local news. So gay supervisor Matt Dorsey calls to end same-sex partner benefits law sparks shock. So articles basically say that gay supervisor Matt Dorsey, who apparently Jason used to live next to, probably what made him gay, is calling for an end to the EBO, or if not an end to it, to a pause to it. And what the EBO is, the law that was passed in SF back in the day that requires, this is what, basically, by the way, this was passed before marriage equality became legal as a law of the land, right, by the Supreme Court. So before that, it was passed, and it basically a law that says that SF requires companies to provide unmarried same-sex partners the same benefits as their married heterosexual colleagues. So basically, same-sex couples should get the same marriage benefits as so not married, sorry, married
benefits that, married people.
This law was passed before the country. Yes, this law was passed before the country upheld same-sex marriages are equal at the Supreme Court level. And so what Dorsey is saying that because of the law of the land, it allows for same-sex marriages and prohibits discriminating against same-sex marriages. We do not need this extra step, because what he is saying is that making companies have that language in their charter is limiting when the law of the land does it anyway. Because he uses an example of a company in Massachusetts that started, because Massachusetts had that forever, right? 2004. Yeah. The company started in 2009 or 10 or whatever. So it never put that specific language because it didn't need to, because it's in the state charter or the state whatever. Right. And so we weren't able to work with them. Right. And so
what you're saying is that SF has very restrictive, like, this has to be stated like explicitly in your company's
we passed various things like that, right? Like I think we just rescinded recently, but we passed a law saying that like you had to have, every state couldn't have we wouldn't work with states that didn't have certain laws about gays on the books or blah 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 blah, and we rescinded it because it was just like, it's like, to do that really does limit a lot of the choices that you can get from where you buy and how you buy. And I don't know if they know if that's the right way of going about it, you know what I mean? Because I mean there are gays in that state, so keeping a state from getting your money doesn't necessarily stop the state from being hateful. Right. And it doesn't necessarily help the gays in that state, especially in a place where we have to deal with such high prices.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I think the article brings up a good point about where he's saying that like in this contracting process, it's like too erroneous and we're like spending too much money on the compliance part of having to abide by this. Yeah. Where, as you've called out, like this is something that exists because of Obergefell and Hodges from the Supreme Court. So we were talking prior to this, but about how it's more of a, hey, we don't need this explicit language to take it out, but then also wait, let's make sure that if we know the Supreme Court is topsy-turvy, that if something changes, we need to still protect people.
Yeah, and I also think that's really important for Democrats in general to look at, in just now, like how much red tape has required or created when we add all these rules and regulations, you know what I mean, about why we, you know what I mean, about things. And we need to be like, when we add regulations and add rules, while they are value added, we need to be looking at how we can ensure that doesn't add time to things like approvals, you know what I mean? Like, because we get into a situation like we're in San Francisco where it takes years to do something and one person can derail it because of a protest or blah, 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 and nothing gets fucking done.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to create an equitable situation for everybody, but it becomes inefficient.
Right.
Because
you have so many checks and balances and you're not streamlining, you're not looking at the checks and balances versus the overlying process. And I think it's important, I think what Matt is saying is that like we need to be reevaluating these checks and balance laws, or these laws that require certain things as the lay of the land may change, so that we can keep, you know what I mean? Because then it might be unnecessary.
Yeah. I mean, you always have to revise these things because as times change, people change, culture changes, and laws change, and you have to adapt to all of that.
Yeah, it's really I didn't even realize it says like from the article quotes about how like 45% of large firms offer domestic partner benefits, but that other half, because they don't explicitly state that, we can't
work with
the laws in
San Francisco,
SF,
we can't work with them.
Yeah, you can't.
So it narrows us to, you know what I mean, which raises prices. It doesn't give us a lot of variety, especially when the law of the land states that companies can't discriminate. So it's basically doing the same thing anyway. We just have a limiting factor, or
like it did something great when it
at the time, but we don't need it now. We may need it later, but right now we don't.
And now it's like it's actually doing.
Yeah, it's causing red tape. Yes,
right. Yeah, it served its purpose.
And this is what we need as Democrats, to be constantly looking at regulations to ensure that it doesn't create unnecessary frenetic red tape, because we know that when we have just too much democratic regulation with no discussion of red tape, it becomes a Byzantine kind of thing that you can't get through.
It's too bureaucratic.
Yep. All right, let's go to pop culture. And we're back with pop culture news. Venus rises. 45-year-old Venus Williams stunned at the City Open after a year-long hiatus. Okay, so maybe because I'm 42, made me have like a particular like, all right, this is cute, girl.
Your sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh. Anyway, the article is about Venus Williams returns to form by winning both the doubles and singles match she had at the City Open in DC. She stuns because she wasn't even ranked in the tournament. I guess she's taken a year or two off or whatever, and she hasn't played since 2024 and hasn't won since 2023. So she wasn't even ranked. So then she was like an emergency card, I guess, like play or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, she came in. It was her fiance who pushed her to try again, and she did. She isn't the oldest to win. That was to another lady who did it at 47, but at 45, she's probably like pretty close, and she won both her doubles and her singles. And I was like, all right, bitch, come on, Venus. I haven't even heard Venus's name for a while. It's been Serena,
Coco Gauff.
Yeah, so it was just cool, especially, it's just cool to like see we are really the generation that pushes, 45 is really the new whatever, you know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm 47.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like I don't feel that though.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm.
I don't feel what they thought. I don't feel what they told me 42 was gonna feel like. I still feel young, and you know what I mean.
I want to be out there.
Yeah, I was partying, like,
having fun.
I was partying longer than the Gen Z girl. You know what I mean? They're whack. So yeah, I wanted to just highlight this.
Yeah, I mean, age is a number. It's about your mentality.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it really.
Yeah, obviously, because you got LeBron James still playing.
Steph
you know what I mean?
Curry's
You got this bitch coming in.
Late 30s playing.
He just had his first fucking tear or something like that. You know what I mean? He's been playing for so long, and I think he just had a tear or something like that for his first time in his career.
Yeah, he was
so
in the
crazy.
playoffs last year. He tweaked his hamstring.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, his first muscle injury. But yeah, I mean, like, it's a number. You're as young as you think you are.
Yeah,
and
I thought it was just a cool story. I thought it was like, and I just love that, like, this also kind of reminds me of Gaga, because I remember Gaga said that, like, it was her fiance who told her to stop stop focusing on acting and get back into pop a little bit. Yeah, because it was just like, you surround yourself with the right people who get out there, do the right, you know what I mean? So it's just like that story.
Yeah, it's about the support you have around you,
who push you,
and your
tell
mindset.
You the right things. Yeah, tell you no when you know, you know what I mean? Because it was time for Gaga to stop acting. Ooh. Yeah. Anyway, let's go on to our Fight the Power segment. We'll be back with it.
Ching ching. I'm gonna figure out what we're gonna do here.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be cute.
I thought it was at a pause. Like,
ching ching.
Pause, yeah. And Fight the Power segment. I just put on my black fist, and I can say that because my fist is black. So Crooked Media launches a 2-day convention to fight authoritarian freaks, is what it's called. For those of you who listen to the podcast, you will recognize Crooked Media as a production company that hosts such popular podcasts as Pod Save America or Pod Save the World, Pod Save the UK, which I love. It hosts guys who work for the Obama administration, and they talk about political stuff from a leftist point of view, which I think we definitely need more leftist podcasts to combat the right-wing lock on podcasts that seems to be out there. And while the guys from the Obama administration may be slightly out of touch because, they're part of the Obama administration on some things because they are more centrist than they are progressives, they still have a lot of good thoughts about where the Democratic Party can go to reach people, and I echo some of the same issues I have with the Democratic Party being out of touch. This conference, I think, is a good idea to get closer to the people who are helping make the decisions, because we know that political operatives listen to the show and blah, blah, blah. And so I think the convention is good because it allows them to talk about it, allows people to ask questions. Like, if I was there, I would start asking some serious questions about when we're going to start calling Biden and Trump out on enabling war crimes, and because I think until you start to call shit, and until you start to call Biden a war criminal, or until you start or someone who abated war criminals or abetted war criminals, you're not going to get a certain amount of the progressives, because I know that I lost a lot, and I was willing to almost stay home because it was Kamala's just going to do the same thing. You know what I mean? And I understand that I did it, but it was it really was hard for me to get up in energy.
It's because the status quo.
Because
we need to break the status quo.
Yeah, and so And I think that like that's the problem with the left, which we've all said, that they don't have a vision. They are afraid to do a fully progressive vision because they're afraid to push off centrist people. But it's just like,
I don't even feel like it's about centrist people. I feel like they're afraid of their corporate backers.
yes,
That's who they're really afraid of.
yes,
You know, like
yeah. And I mean, we're all, and everyone, both Democrats and Republicans, are in hawk to corporations or billionaires, right? I mean, that's what they solicit to get the money from. And yeah, public, small donors can help, but it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt when you have the Elon Musk, right? So I just thought this was a good. I mean, right, wrong, or different. The Democratic Party is what we have to work with, and so they need to be way more responsive. And and I do think we need more parties, obviously, but we definitely need a Democratic Party that is way more responsive and can understand their demographic. Like, I think one thing the Republicans are great at is like when something catches the Republican zeitgeist, like when like the podcasters are talking about it, when the whatever are talking about it, the people, it takes maybe a week before the president's talking about it. You know how quickly that is? You know what I mean? It took them 7 to 8 months for them to realize we were not okay with Biden. You know what I mean? Like, and they still don't get it. They still think that, you know what I mean? They still treat us like we're stupid. You know what I mean? Like, Republicans treat their people like they're stupid, but they need them. Democrats treat us like we're stupid and they don't need us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that too. And also, I think like people on the left are more educated and more empathetic. And it's harder to, like, that's the thing about the left is like, it's not just Democrats, Republicans. It's like there are progressives, there's liberals, there are people who really want to see change in this country and know it can happen, but it's not going to happen with people like the establishment Democrats, people that have been there for a long time, like the Clintons, like the Obamas. And Kamala Harris would have just been an extension of that.
Yeah, because they don't know how to speak to a lot of the different groups on the umbrella. You know what I mean? They just think that these kind of intellectual kind of like thoughts are just going to percolate down and somehow, but they don't if you don't have the right people doing it, if you don't have people speaking to people in the way that they understand. You know what I mean? There's a lot of poor white Americans that we need to bring back from the Republican Party because that's really what's going to help us. Poor white Americans is really being victimized by Republicans to keep them voting for Republicans. If we can start speaking to poor white Americans, which we can, I mean, I don't understand why we're not talking about the fentanyl crisis like it was like it was the crack epidemic. You know what I mean? There's so many ways we could be speaking to them, but we have to speak to them in ways that they understand, and it's not just going to be from a think tank on the coast. You know what I mean?
And this is an opportunity too, because the Epstein story is just not dying, and people are losing faith in him. He's hemorrhaging support, so it's a time where if they do message correctly, they can garner some support.
Yeah, the thing is, there are a lot of nerds in the Republican Party. They're not the face of the party. Right. Do you know what I mean? Or they're not the only face of the party. They're not the face of the right wing podcasters and da 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 da. All of our nerds are the face of the party. You know what I mean? And that's not the problem. That's not how you connect with people. Nerds don't connect with people. Do you know what I mean? Except for Barack. There's very few that can connect. Right? You got Barack, you got Bill Clinton, but most nerds don't connect. This is look at SF. Ooh. Yeah. So you know what I mean? We need to work on getting some of these popular people who aren't nerds who can take these nerdy ideas and talk to people and whatever. Yes. You know what I mean? Because that's how you get people. You're not gonna nerd speak them to death. People they don't understand what you're talking about. They're just gonna zone out.
Yeah, it's a tough hill to climb, but
we gotta climb it.
We gotta climb it.
All right, and with that, I hope you enjoyed the news recap. I really did. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Cameron. So stay tuned after the news recap for the first interview with Craig Morrison. It was really, really fucking good. We even had to dress him. Remember, Cameron? We had to put him in a different shirt. Yeah, he was so white. He was blending into the wall, bro. Cameron didn't say it, but I did. Cameron was like, "We should get you a different shirt because you're blend. You know, you're kind of being blend. What do you say? You're getting washed out." I was like, "Girl, what do you mean? This is white on white on white? Okay, white on white on like you know what I mean? What is this? Hanson." Anyway, so next week we are dropping our first half interview with Alfonso and Joaquin. We're actually going to be recording that tomorrow. It's really, really fucking fun. Stay tuned for that. Also, please check out our new Discord server. The link is in the show notes. Also, please please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's how we know you guys love the show, and that's how it'll get ranked and rated and all that shit. So see you in the next week. Remember to listen, rate, and share. Please tell your friends and spread the word. Also remember to set a reminder so you'll get a notice when I post new shows. Send me any feedback, questions, comments, or concerns. My IG is WHENNRONE. And until next time, keep it sassy, San Francisco. And I got it all in one take. Bitches.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. It is I, your host, When in Rome. I'm sorry, it's I, your host, Roman. I don't know. I'm not When in Rome. Actually, I am. And this is the podcast, When in Rome. And we have another interview, and this one with the illustrious, the man, the myth, the legend, Craig. Do you want me to say your last name or just Craig? You want to be just Craig?
It's Craig Morrison.
It's Craig Morrison, upcoming party promoter to the stars. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so really funny backstory, guys. Is so we were actually supposed to be doing a panel today, and it's supposed to be on getting behind the scenes, getting the mind of an upcoming party promoter. But Craig was the only one who showed up, and so then it turned into an interview, which is great because you guys are just now about in the middle of the West interview, West Walker. So it's almost like we're doing like a party promoter series. So thank you for being here, Craig. And let's get started. So we'll kind of get this out the way as we kind of do with everyone. Like when ish were you born? Some people don't want to talk about it, and where. We'll start there.
Yeah, so I was born right at the beginning of 1980, January 14th to be exact, in Phoenix, Arizona. And I moved to California when I was 22, April 1st, which was my parents' anniversary. Haha, bye.
Okay. That's a good way of saying see ya.
Right.
Sure, your parents love that.
And then I've just kind of been experiencing the West Coast ever since. And yeah, just living my best life.
So you've been in the West Coast since, what is it? What's the year again?
2002.
2002. So that's like 21 years, 22 years.
Yeah.
And real quick, let me kind of go through, because I feel like we didn't talk about the beginning, but the reason I have you on the podcast is because you are the party promoter of Hard Reset, which throws a weekly party at Q Bar on Sundays. You've also done multiple parties at Hard Reset at Stud. You've also just had your party at F8. So you've been throwing parties for about 2 years. You throw a week.
Actually, our 1 year anniversary was just a few days ago.
Just a few days ago. And to this day, you've thrown probably 30 or 40 parties, right? 20 or 30 parties?
Yeah, so at Stud, I think we did 8. We started July and we took December. We took December off, and then I think we called it quits in February there, and then we started a Q Bar in March and started doing weekly.
Yeah, so that's kind of why we're on here. Since I just wanted to make sure we get up your cachet. Okay, so you moved here. You've been here for 22 years. What brought you to San Francisco?
A love interest actually that I met in Seattle.
Love interest. All right, girl.
Which didn't exactly work out.
Yeah,
but...
girl, you called it a love interest. You didn't even say probably relationship. You didn't say a fling. You didn't say, you know what I mean? You were like, something happened. And it both was and stayed complicated.
Yes, exactly. But still here, still friends with that love interest. Yeah.
How long ago was that? You said?
When did I move to the Bay Area? 9 years ago, I believe. I moved to Walnut Creek initially, and then we moved down to San Jose together. We lived in Walnut Creek for exactly 1 year, and then we moved down to San Jose, and then that's.
So how long have you? Let's get into like your partying just in general. Like how long have you been partying? Would you say like going to the clubs, yada yada yada?
Well, I mean, it started way back. My first job in a gay bar was when I was 18 years old at a place in Phoenix called Pookie's Cafe. I was the
not Pookie's Cafe.
Pookie's Cafe.
That sounds like Cameron, my editor's butthole. Come and get into Pookie's Cafe, right, Cam? He's off screen, so he can't say anything. What were you saying?
But it gets better.
Yeah.
So Pookie's Cafe, the owner actually went by Pookie.
Okay. As you must.
Okay. The cocktail waiter that I worked with in the drag lounge, his name was Martini.
Oh,
I'm
God.
not kidding.
Oh, God.
And this place looked like 1982 Miami, like mirrors.
So like Birdcage.
White, well, yes.
It's giving me, I was thinking Birdcage the movie, and so you're saying it, so like everything about this is Birdcage, girl.
So
my watermelonness.
It was very much that.
Why you not love my watermelonness? I love that. Okay, so that was when you first started, your first job. Okay. What were you doing? Barback?
No, I was a cocktail waiter.
Oh, cocktail waiter.
Yeah.
Not at when you were 18?
When I was 18.
Selling,
in Phoenix, you could serve alcohol when you were 18. You just couldn't be behind the bar.
Come on, Red State.
Okay.
But so wait, like you couldn't be behind the bar, but you could service it. How do you serve alcohol?
Well, because it was a restaurant.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you could be a waiter.
Yeah. But I worked in the cocktail lounge, so I really didn't
serve food. Every once in a while, they had me in the
I
restaurant.
love you being in the cocktail lounge serving drinks, but not behind the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I wasn't really serving food.
Right.
And this is how old this place was. One of the owners actually made VHS tape mixes of like music videos, and that was what they had on.
I mean, you had the age of it at the Birdcage reference.
Yeah, well,
that it was, you know what I mean? My God, it was built to be a memory of Birdcage. That aged it right there. But yes, VHS would come with that. I love that.
You're bringing me back
all the way back. We're bringing all of us back, bitch. Okay, so that was your first job, and then you kept partying.
Yeah. So then, why did I move to California? I don't remember. I think I turned.
Apparently to get away from your family. No, your anniversary.
Basically.
I mean, what does that say? I mean, you could have done it the day after, the day before, but you said, sorry, parents. Like that.
I waited till their anniversary.
Yeah, that's what your therapist would call a decision.
But I toured up Phoenix for a good year. I definitely would call myself an alcoholic. I mean, I blacked out 5 nights a week. It was super fun. I worked in a bar.
So. Not super fun. I mean, you're 18, whatever. Yeah, that law is definitely working.
No, this was when I was 21.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who didn't black out a lot when they were 21? Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I guess the question was then, when you got to San Francisco, you were partying here or partying in the East, like the North Bay when you moved here?
Yeah, so when I moved to Palm Springs, I started working at a place called Desert Palms Inn, where I was a bartender.
We're going to
parties there.
Okay. Why does every place that you worked at like seem like the scene from a movie or something? Do you know what I mean?
Literally was in movies,
right? Of course it was.
We can have a whole podcast.
Do you know where Desert Palm Inn is? Desert Palm Inn seems like the place where the black guy from Rent goes when he has to go open up a restaurant in Santa Fe. The Palm Springs Inn would be nice. Anyway,
so then I started working at Toucan's Tiki Lounge,
yeah,
and that was my first foray into throwing a party. My bestie Eric, who now lives in Detroit, him and I started a Thursday night thing called the Craig and Eric Show.
Okay.
And we had these little Canon ELPH instant camera, or not instant, but digital cameras.
Mm-hmm. And not VHS.
We would take. I know, not. This was just slightly past film.
Right. Because you're just so much more advanced than whoever you used to work for. But anyway.
So we would basically take pictures all week of all the people in the bar and of ourselves and of our escapades. We'd go out to LA pretty much every week and take pictures, and then we would print them. We would print our favorites of the week on shirts.
Okay.
And then the rest would go on the TVs in a slideshow that we made.
Okay.
And it was the Craig and Eric Show.
Okay. And this slideshow would go on at the bar?
Yep, on the Craig and Eric Show.
So basically, it's like
every Thursday was like a recap of Craig and Eric's life.
Because you guys are so cool that you escaped Phoenix and got to show the hippie, you know what I mean? Like the people in Phoenix, what it was like. Because I mean, I lived in Phoenix too, and I would go to LA every chance I got.
Well, this was in Palm Springs though.
Same.
So but I mean,
it's Palm Springs.
It's not too much. Back then, Palm Springs was pretty dead, so this was.
Was there as much Tina? Probably. And if you talk to them, they're always like, whenever you talk to someone from like back in the day, they're always like, Latina back then it was much better. You know what I mean? Like, well, that's what. One time I got into a fucking Uber, and the lady was like, "Oh my god, yeah, that was when I was going, and they were making Tina at Stanford. And you were just meth at Stanford. You would just go and get it there. It was so much better." I said, "Sure, white woman, it's always better when you did it at Stanford." Anyway, okay, go
on. It's better at Stanford.
Hello, apparently the meth. Okay, so that was in Palm Springs, and then you moved to the North Bay.
Yeah? Yep. Yeah, so then LA, but I didn't work in bars. I went corporate there and did restaurants and stuff. And then I moved up to Seattle, continued the corporate thing. And then I moved to the Bay Area, continued the corporate thing, until I met this guy, Giovanni.
Saints, the DJ.
Yep, who kind of like reintroduced me into the party scene. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, wait. I really missed this.
Mm-hmm. Plus, it seems like whenever you were in the party scene, you did more than just attend. Do you know what I mean? You did that kind of like you've always kind of been more than just an attendee. It seems like I
was working in it for
the smaller ponds.
Exactly.
Because you were a big fish in the smaller ponds.
Yeah.
And now we're just like, you're like Finding Nemo. Actually, no, you're more like Ellen. Who is she? In fighting along. Yes. Okay, so you moved here, and then what made you want to start throwing parties in SF?
So I wanted to create something. I wanted to create a platform. Because Gio's a DJ, I met so many amazing, talented people who aren't given the opportunity because they're not really in with the right crowd, or it's a little bit cliquey here in San Francisco.
In what way? Like who? You're talking about like party promoters and like club owners, things like that. I would think that it's kind of like, I feel like compared to a lot of other cities, like I don't know about Palm Springs, but I'm saying it's like major cities, like, New York, LA, that it's much easier to get something going here.
It definitely
But it doesn't mean it doesn't have its clickiness. You know what I mean?
I think that a lot of times it's easy for party promoters to just stick with the people that they're used to working with.
Truth.
And I can attest to that now that I throw parties, but I challenge myself not to do that. But the other side of it.
Wait. So go back. You're saying that you noticed that as an issue because of your association with like employees in the scene, like DJs and stuff like that, through the like Gio and the people you met as well.
Yeah, and it's just really easy to just be like, oh, I like this person, let's do this. We can put these 3 people on a lineup, but it doesn't really challenge us to create something unique, and it also doesn't challenge the DJs, because when you put DJs on a lineup, they kind of play into each other, right? So it forces the DJ to do a little bit of research about the person coming in before them and coming in after them, or unless you're like a headliner and you don't care, then it's up to the other. But it kind of makes everybody work a little bit more when you're always mixing things up and putting new talent into things.
Plus, I would also say that because you also do just music, you don't do drag, you don't do go-go dancers and all that.
Yeah, 100%.
That's not what the gay scene, especially in the Castro. And I would probably, you know what I mean? And, I would, unless you're doing like, the Electroluxes, Polyglams and all that. But like, in the Castro, that's not, it's generally always, there's always drag, there's always go-go. Maybe Q-Bar, I think, was the only bar that generally doesn't do parties like that. And they just opened, right? Yeah. So I think that that's also kind of like a difference. Do you know what I mean? Like it was always drag, it was always top 40, it's always contemporary, versus like trying to push the zeitgeist on music.
Well, and that's another reason I started the party. So I've always had Sundays and Mondays off, and I couldn't find a Sunday night party that fit what I wanted. I didn't want the top 40. I don't mind drag shows, but I just didn't want another drag show. I wanted something unique. And since it didn't exist, I'm like, okay, well, there's a space.
Plus, you knew a shit ton of really good DJs,
and I knew,
right?
and I already had this great pool of talent, right? So it was really easy for us to start.
What was your first party and where was it?
So the first party was at the Stud, mid-July. I can't remember the exact date now, but it was 24. The first lineup was all techno. It was, I think, Demon Twink and Larissa Porto, who we met at what was the Brazilian party called? Safada. And I can't remember the other one. Oh, I think we had Gio and Johnny play. Giovanni Sainz and Johnny Cañas.
Yeah. So okay, so that was your first party. What what were some struggles you had from your first party?
So the first party I would call a success because a lot of people came, and thank you very much to my friend group, and literally, it was literally like our entire circle showed up for us, and that meant so much, and that was inspiration to keep going. So we continued to do monthly.
I know, but let's go back. Well, I was saying, like, what? Give me some struggles.
Sorry.
I mean, I know it was a success, but kind of, do you remember any kind of like initial
struggles?
Oh, okay.
Yep. So
of the first party, not just like your parties in general. Just want to talk about your first party.
You know what? I had no clue what I was doing. So I think it wasn't so much a struggle for me. I just went in wanting to have fun.
So it was a struggle, but it was like it would be like a lot of like lessons learned on the first night, because there were a lot of things you just didn't know about because it was your first time doing it.
Yeah,
okay.
And I wasn't trying to make money. Honestly, I just wanted to be able to pay the DJs. it wasn't about a profit thing. It was more about just the excitement and the concept of what I wanted to do, and I wanted to show people something different.
Yep.
And so I think the hardest part maybe was just marketing it and getting people out there without knowing how to do any of that.
Especially because it was at the Stud, which was a great choice because the Stud had just opened again. For those, you know what I mean? Those who don't know, it had closed because it wasn't, you know what I mean? It was COVID couldn't do it with COVID. And so it had like a collective, they reopened it again. So it was definitely like supporting a new place that was kind of off the beaten path, right? So it's good. I think this is a good place to stop. Let's take a break. And then we'll come back. You guys, get your libations or your other mood enhancers. And we'll be back. Mm-hmm.
Hey.
And we're back, everyone. We've been having a really good discussion with Craig, the only party promoter. So let's get back into it. So we were talking just about your struggles for your first party, which you were just basically saying. And the reason I wanted to highlight that is I think it's important for people who are starting to know kind of what to expect. And so I think what you're saying is to expect the unexpected and to just have an open mind and just be prepared to take a lot of lessons learned. You know what I mean?
Don't expect to make money.
Don't expect. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to say that. Like, a successful first party is generally not. I wouldn't don't put that on your list. If you make money your first party, that's like super amazing. But if you don't, that doesn't mean it's not a successful party. You shouldn't go into it. Breaking even should probably be like the success. You know what I mean? Like if you can break even, that's gold standard. You know what I mean? Especially if you're really going in on a good party and blah, 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 just because that's really hard to do, to make money like that from scratch. Anyway.
Well, and the other mark of success for me was, again, all of our friends showed up. That was hugely successful for me.
Okay, so then let's go on to the next question. So after those first parties you started throwing monthly parties, you said?
Yeah, so we continued to do monthly at the Stud. And it was definitely an up and down.
What do you mean by that?
So 1 month, we wouldn't have anybody in there. I mean, maybe we would get 80 people. I think one of our worst months, we probably only had about 65 people come through.
And what were the reasons, like, what were lessons learned from that, like, time period?
I think the biggest, no matter how much marketing I did, well, first of all, I didn't pay for marketing back then because I just thought that I was doing enough like guerrilla marketing through friends and word of mouth and post flyers and all that kind of stuff that it would work. The other thing is,
were you posting, like, I feel like I would not challenge, but like I feel like the way you posted flyers then versus now is different too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you didn't you have a lot more coverage. You've got these fucking cards. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that you do now from QR that you didn't do that. You know what I mean? So it was also like you had a different, let's say, posting strategy, right?
And I also think monthly was too broad of a cadence to actually gain momentum in a profitable way. Weekly, it's much easier because there's consistency. The other thing is that the Stud for Sunday night was not a good choice because it's too far out of the way from where everybody is partying already.
Especially on Sunday. Like, Sundays are hard because it's always been consistently hard to throw Sunday, like, night/afternoon parties.
Yeah.
Because everyone generally on Sunday likes to party, likes to bar hop, and either Castro or like right in that area of Soma is really easy to do that. It's kind of naturally what you do because you're kind of like you're starting a little earlier, right, than you would at night, and so it's really hard to do that. Like where the Stud is like, you don't even get, like,
it's a destination.
Yeah, you don't get drive-by traffic because you don't really know it's there, and then you can't even get walk-by to hear music, which I think was the whole thing about Q-Bar, was like you needed also some of that walk-by to get people to understand what the kind of music is that's available, right? Which is 100%. Why having it in the Castro was different, yeah?
Yep.
Plus, I think you're right that, like, when we do research for the podcast, they said that, like, and we were trying to figure out our cadence. We started every 2 weeks, and then we went to weekly because it says the same thing, that like weekly is much easier to build a brand, build an audience, capture an audience, and get them to remember you. Monthly is really hard. People don't remember what happened. It was like a month ago, so it can be a struggle to get people unless you've been doing it, like, I don't know, daytime minutes for years, right?
Yeah.
And then you've built this brand over like however many long daytime minutes going on.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to learn exactly how Daytime Realness got to that point.
Yeah.
With just a monthly party, like maybe they already had some other stuff going on that already had a broad, like Electrolux, like now they can throw a party whenever they want, and there's no cadence to it. But people will go because it's Electrolux, so they have that brand.
But Electrolux is like their parties they've thrown bigger parties. Do you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different when they do throw them. Those you expect to be quarterly. Do you know what I mean? Or like whatever.
Yeah.
Plus they have a built-in brand from people from the Burning Man crowd, so they always have you know what I mean. They always have a audience to go to. But they've also thrown smaller parties too. You know what I mean? So I think yours is different because, and as you said before, they're focused on the experience and not the DJs. You know what I mean? So they're not even, their focus is like not the DJs either, right? So yours is a very different experience because your focus is the DJs and the music.
Right.
Electrolux is kind of like the music and the experience.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the experience and the music.
The experience with music.
Yes.
Yeah. and they do have great DJs. Like we've actually hired talent that works for Electrolux. So I'm not talking.
No, I've had a great time. So I'm saying, but I've also, and I mean, we do a party review section, so this is not new. You know what I mean? I've had great times at Electrolux, and I've also spoken about how they've had some DJs who I don't feel like are focusing on the dancing, and they're focusing more on their experience. Which to you, and I've said the same thing you have, that needs to be a bazaar. Those need to be called out and called different things than a dance party, because that's just not what you're expecting. What I'm paying for. You know what I mean? And others are saying that too. But it's not to say that Electrolux doesn't have great DJs.
Yeah.
But to get back to you. So you are throwing parties. We were talking about your throwing parties at Stud. And then what is kind of like one of your kind of best memories from your initial times at throwing parties?
So my favorite Stud party that we did was actually my birthday, January of this year. We did an open decks night. We had signups. I did like party full and everything, and asked DJs to RSVP that wanted to participate. And we had friends come up from San Diego, come down from Seattle. Like it was so cool that all of these people came out for my birthday to celebrate Hard Reset. And it was just a really special night for me. The music was fantastic all freaking night. The flyer that I made was probably one of my favorites. Like it was just like, it was kind of like the cherry on top of the sundae, for the Stud. And then after that, the following month, like literally it was a ghost town. And I was like, okay, let's reevaluate what's going on here.
That's so hard to, like, to your point, it's hard when you're doing something weekly. It's much easier to see things and pick out trends and blah blah blah. But it's every month, and then you have a bad one, but you just had a good one. It's kind of like, well, what's the difference? And trying to remember what happened 2 months before, what's going on, and the difference is it can be hard. Versus if 1 week is bad on weekly, and then you have another good week, then it's really easy to see the difference. You know what I mean?
Well, and you also have a financial buffer when you have a weekly stream of income,
right?
Versus like monthly, it's like you only have 12 parties to make something happen,
right?
And weekly you have 52.
Plus the way the Stud was set up, you almost had to carry a certain staff level to keep even part of it running, but it was hard to it's hard to slim the Stud down just because of the way it is, to make it a small party. And then with the skeleton crew at the Stud is still kind of big because the Stud is set up like the way it is. You know what I mean?
It is too big of a venue for a starter party on a Sunday night.
Yeah. That doesn't have like a built-in, like, oh, you're coming to see drag or you're coming to see something, you know what I mean? Like this built-in audience when you're trying to build around something that the scene has never really seen in the gay area, right? Okay, so let's talk about you moved to you moved to Q-Bar. What sparked that? I mean, obviously we could tell like your intermittent parties kind of at Stud.
Yeah. So Stud was an awesome launch pad for us. They helped us kind of like figure out what we wanted to do, what our direction was, the kind of music we want to focus on, all of these kinds of things. So after February, we took March off, and I think we started at Q Bar in April, if I remember correctly. I messaged Sip on Instagram, the owner of Q Bar, one of the two owners actually. And he's like, "This sounds great, let's talk." And within I think 3 weeks, we did our first party with them. JB, the other owner, was there and kind of introduced me to everybody. And Q Bar literally just like embraced us like family. Like it was the most incredible feeling.
I remember like when you told me you were working with them, it was great because I feel like Q Bar is one of those bars. Not to ding the other bars, but like I feel like Q Bar really is emblematic of like treating their employees really, really well. And you could tell because they burned down like 5 years ago, and as soon as they came back up, all their employees came right back. You know what I mean? Like they waited, they were all waiting. I mean, that should tell you how loyal their employees are. You know what I mean? You wait 5 to 6 fucking years, and the day they were all like right back that week. You know what I mean? So I mean, I think that story is great. Sip and what's his name? JB, like just Q Bar and Q Bar in general is always throwing great PPOC parties. I used to have this fierce fucking lesbian party, like black lesbian party on Tuesdays. It was crazy. Cameron, good lights out. That's why I like love that you guys are working with Q Bar. You know what I mean? So like tell me, and like so you started throwing parties there. How have your parties been since?
Since we moved to Q Bar Castro, we have not had a unprofitable night.
Ooh.
We've had a few break-even nights, but we doubled down on advertising. So I actually started spending money on ads on Meta, Facebook, Instagram.
All the colonizers.
Okay. As much as I don't like the platform.
I mean, hey, girl, I'm not talking shit, girl. I mean, we're on all of them. Okay. So I'm on all of them, girl.
And then we made business cards. And then just kind of really went out there and pushed the weekly thing. And then again, the weekly consistency really helped just kind of build the brand. And people know, when you go out and tell people about Hard Reset or you ask people if they've heard of it, everybody's heard of it now. It's just they don't exactly know where it is or when it is, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, plus, I mean, like I go a lot, and you've never, from the very beginning, you had one, people coming, you had people that were coming to the Castro who don't normally come, right? So a lot of people are coming from them, like I said, they're coming from music they don't normally hear, because in the Castro, especially on a Sunday, you're hearing top 40, you're hearing good, different types of music, but it might be a little hip hop influence, kind of like housey music at Bo, but it's not consistent because, you know what I mean? Plus it's a drag show there that takes 2 hours. So you don't hear music for 2 hours there. And then Badlands is up and down, hot mess. It goes from hot mess to like okay. Do you know what I mean? It's never great. It goes from hot mess to like, oh, this is fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you also are getting, for the first time on Sundays in the Castro, we're kind of we talked literally about this before. The Hard Reset might be one of the few parties that I can think of that's got consistently good music to dance to, consistently good music, like either the type of techno or the type of house, whatever, is a good version. People dance and know what they're getting. Whereas I can't think of, it's really hard for me to think of another party that's as consistent, because a lot of the parties I do struggle with, like sometimes the party's music's good, like Dad, fucking Daytime Realness, even the clubs, Badlands, Ball, fucking Nocturnal, like, you know what I mean? Even the big parties, like even like this last, what time I went to, what was it, Aftershock? It wasn't that good. Do you know what I mean? Compared to all the time. So like, I appreciate that.
Well, we always try to be open format musically, so we don't want to be a specific genre. But what we do want to do is make sure that we always have really talented musicians or DJs. I prefer to call them musicians because you really need to know music to DJ. And that the lineups that Giovanni primarily curates tell a story. So, we've experimented and failed with like an all techno night. That doesn't work. But we can start with house and build tech house and then throw in some techno and then take it back down to maybe some hyper pop. And that works really well because people aren't going to be turned off because there's variety in the night.
But you also have the ability, once again, because of the walk-through traffic now in Castro, for people to leave for 20 minutes to come back. You know what I mean? If they really don't like it, or if they want to, or go go get something to eat and come back. It's so central. It's so right there. You know what I mean? Like you can get, a lot of times people would, which I've seen happen a lot, is people will come to Q Bar, stay at Q Bar, go check the other bars, not like the music there, and then come back, which is what I do a lot. You know what I mean? Just because you want to be like, or go tell people like, I'm the Q Bar girl, the music is so much better there. So I mean, that's just really how it is for me. Plus, I mean, I'll be a rep because I've been there. Like you guys have had, it's good that you said you've made money and always broke even, but that's through weekends. You did. I mean, what we had, you had Coachella weekend 1 and 2. You did it through, you know what I mean, the cruise. You know what I mean. These are weekends where, not the cruise. Sorry, what happened? Burning Man. Sorry, Burning Man. So like things like where like it takes a lot of gays away, and you're still able to break even. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So like those are telling successes, because those are weekends in which if you live in SF, a good quarter to 30% of the gays, if not more, than that, who party go. You know what I mean? Coachella, especially the first week. Fucking, you know what I mean? The fucking Burning Man, that takes a good amount of people.
Yeah. There was a couple other weeks that we really didn't think were going to be as good as they turned out to be. But I do also want to take a moment to credit the owners of Q Bar, because they did give us some financial support for the first I think 3 months while we were getting off the ground, which I invested completely in advertising, making cards. We made a banner for the bar, to hang under the awnings so that people knew Hard Reset. So they
really did invest.
They invested in Hard Reset as much as we've put into building up Q Bar.
But I think that's like the community. That's cool. I mean, like you should, and I'm not saying bar owners should have to. The fact they did that is really going above and beyond.
They did not have to.
But it also speaks just that's what we talk about when we like the community, building each other up, supporting each other. You know what I mean? And helping, because you also are bringing a lot of business to Q Bar, which I think needs it. And I think that's the bar out of a lot of these bars that we want to big up because of the story as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. They got burned down. It's taken them forever to open, and so now they're opening up. So it's like, it's just a beautiful story all around.
Yep.
And I think that is a really, really good way to end the first half, everyone, don't you? So we're going to end that here. This is the first half, and then you'll be able to see the second half when we get more into like some of the bad things about being a party promoter, like some of the toxic things, some of the struggles, some of the drama. Plus, Craig has worked in the hotel industry, and he worked in the hotel industry during a lot of the ups and downs we've had recently with the protests and stuff. So really want to pick into that. Plus, what is it like? We're going to talk about like that whole, and I know a lot of you out there are thinking about it, or some of you, when you want to start working in the scene and you don't want to work in corporate America anymore, and that struggle and kind of going through that. So that'll be in part 2, ladies. So stay tuned for that. My name is Roman. This is When in Rome. IG is WHENNROME. Ooh, I did it right this time. And until next time, keep it sassy, San Francisco. Say bye, Craig. Bye. Ollie, Ollie, oxen free. So a deer, a female deer. So a deer, female deer. Gray, a drop of golden sun. Me, a name I call myself. Far, a long, long way to run. So a needle pulling thread.
You're
going too high.
You're already in another octave that I think.
I can't get to the rest of the octave. That's why I said, I mean, I can belt at it, but definitely not. Yeah, not after I just been smoking weed and shit.